I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would please, Michelle, the roll.
Avon.
Here.
Caledonia.
Here.
Canisius.
Here.
Geneseo.
Here.
Groveland. Leicester. Lima.
Here.
Livonia.
Here.
Mount Morris.
Here.
North Dansville.
Here.
Nunde.
Here.
Ashen.
Here.
Portage.
Here.
Sparta.
Here.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Here.
York.
Here. I'd like to ask West Sparta Supervisor Sue Wordle to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the last set of meeting minutes from June 14th for your consideration. Does any supervisor have any changes they wish to bring forward at this time? Hearing none, I look for a motion and a second to consider the adoption.
Move Schuster.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. A couple communications, please, Michelle.
The next conversation with the county will be held on Thursday, June 29th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. at the Groveland Town Hall, 4955 Atten Road, Groveland. And the NISAC Fall Seminar is September 13th through the 15th, 2023. Please let me know today if you will need accommodations.
Thank you, Michelle. Next, we have an abstract of claims for our consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move this abstract of claims and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any questions or concerns on this abstract of claims? Hearing none, a roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Leicester. Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris.
Aye.
North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 4749, absent 305, adopted.
We have some privileges of the floor this afternoon. It's my honor to please ask our Assemblywoman, Margaret Burns, to please come forward and talk about important recognition that was made to one of our own here at the county.
Thank you. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be here today. And especially when the county is honoring so many of its employees for years of service. And it makes today all the more important to honor one also who is being honored by the state of New York. Lynn McNimmy, can you come up, please? I trust many of you, if not all of you, know Lynn. Back in March, as you know, it was Women's History Month in the state of New York. And I'm a member in the State Assembly of an organization called the Legislative Women's Caucus. And right now it's actually comprised of more than 50% of the legislators, because more than 50% of us now are women in Albany, between the Senate and the Assembly. And I'm also on the board of directors. One of the things that we decided to do this year to honor Women's History Month was to have each different female legislator in their respective district chose a woman who they individually felt was deserving of special recognition because of what they do for their community, for their lifetime of accomplishments to help each and every one of us here. And again, within our own counties, in my case, the Assembly District. It didn't take long, and I thought Lynn McNimmy would be the great person. I know with everyone being honored here today, time is a little bit in demand, so I won't read all of the recognitions, but just part of it, and I'm so glad you could be here today. It reads, whereas a great state is only as great as those persons and organizations who give exemplary service to their community, whether through participation in voluntary programs, through unique achievement in their professional, personal endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenry. And it goes on. Then it continues, whereas Lynn has been a member of the Livingston County Suicide Prevention Task Force for 10 years, serving as chairperson since 2015. Whereas she lends her expertise and knowledge to numerous other committees and associations, including Law Enforcement Council, Homeless and Housing Task Force, Hillside Advisory Council, and the Finger Lakes Regional Juvenile Justice Alternative to Incarceration Committee. Whereas such service, which is truly the lifeblood of our community and this state, so often goes unrecognized and unrewarded. Now, therefore, be it resolved that as a duly elected member of the New York State Assembly, I want to recognize Lynn McNimmy as an outstanding individual, worthy of the esteem of both this county, the Women's Legislative Caucus on behalf of History Month in March, and the great state of New York. I'd like to present this to you, and then I have a couple other things I'd like to give you as well. Please accept it. As part of the March Women's History Month, we also, in the State Assembly and in the State Senate, offered a joint legislative resolution on behalf of the Legislative Women's Caucus, also memorializing and honoring each of the Assembly members and state senators and their honorees. And that legislative resolution was passed on March 30th of this year. And this is a copy of the legislation and the resolution that was passed by the state government, of which you are very specifically mentioned as being an honoree from the 133rd District. Thank you. And lastly, as part of the month-long celebration of Women's History Month, the Women's Legislative Caucus also put together a display that for the entire month of March was in the legislative, on the floor, main floor of the legislative office building. And we were going to have this grandiose dinner, and then like this big snowstorm hit, and people couldn't get to Albany. The dinner regrettably had to be canceled. Where we were going to have people go on tours through the Capitol, be honored on the floor. Regrettably, Mother Nature, had a different course of action for the day that this was scheduled. But I was given by the Women's Legislative Caucus to give to you today. This is the part of the display that honored Lynn, that hung for the entire month on the first floor of the office building.
Nice.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm typically a fairly comfortable public speaker, but I just discovered when I'm talking about myself, it's a lot harder, and I feel a bit like an imposter. I asked Assemblywoman Burns if perhaps she wanted to take this back. She said no. So I'd just like to say two things today. We talked about, in March, we talked about different quotes and things that meant a lot to us. And one of the quotes that has been a guiding principle for me for a number of decades now is, every moment you're making a memory. And it's a wonderful quote to sort of reflect on a daily basis. I'm far from a perfect person, but every moment you're making a memory. I'd like to thank Assemblywoman Burns and Chief of Staff Han for making a truly humbling, memorable one for me today. And the flip side of that reflection is when we're less than perfect, and perhaps when we're not having a great day, or we do something or say something that could be hurtful or we regret, or we're in the grocery line at the store and we're in a hurry, and we're less than kind to the person that's taking care of us. We sort of get to step back and reflect on that and say to ourselves, how can we improve? How can we do that better? And so in saying that, I see my wonderful staff back there. And they've probably borne a larger majority of my less than stellar moments. And all the time I tell them, they're in the trenches, they're doing the hard work, the folks at the probation department, and they make me look far better than I deserve every single day. It's been a privilege and an honor to be serve the county and be a probation officer for 36 years. But you make me look better than I deserve. And it's hard to single people out and thank them, but I'm going to do that just for a minute, and I hope my entire staff will understand. I'd really like to single out Probation Supervisor Jason Barno and Liz Laney. They're in charge of daily operations, and they allow me to do the extra things that I can do to serve the county, such as the task force, because they're in the trenches doing the really difficult task of overseeing daily operations, so I can be on the committees and serve the county in other ways, in addition to being a probation officer. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank my family who is here today, my husband, my son, his girlfriend Natalie, my daughter Rachel, who flew in from Austin last night. My youngest daughter Natalie was not able to be here today. She's actually working for the county for the summer as employment and training counselor, and they have week-long today. So she's actually serving the county today as well. But I know she's here with me in spirit. They also have borne the majority of my less than stellar moments, and they didn't choose my profession, and there have been times over the years where they have suffered for it, and it's hard to be a child of somebody in law enforcement, and I'm so grateful to my husband and them. The last thing I'd like to do is recognize the 10 and 25-year employees today. I've had an awful lot of time to reflect on public service, on voluntary service, on community service. And I think that in its purest and most simple form, it's an act of love. And when we get into it, we get into it, I think, with those intentions. And as we go on and we're serving, at 10 and 25 years, you're taking care of your young families. You're running around like crazy. At 25 years, maybe you're taking care of your aging parents, and you're working hard, and you're serving your communities, publicly, privately, in community service. And I'm at 36 years, so I remember what 10 and 25 years felt like, and it's hard. And I know a lot of you from my entire careers. And when it gets hard and it gets tiring and it gets stressful, remember why you started. It's an act of love in its purest and simplest form for your communities. And that's how I've been reflecting on it a lot these days. So congratulations to all of you. It's been wonderful to work alongside you. And thank you for letting me take a few moments.
We do have some resolutions this afternoon that are going to require a separate roll call vote, if you would please, Michelle.
Mr. Knapp, amending resolution number 2023-150, 2023 employee recognition, party man catering and rental.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Are there any questions or discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester. Lima.
Aye.
Livonia.
Aye.
Mount Morris.
Aye.
North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta. York.
Aye.
Ayes 4749, absent 305, adopted. Amending the 2023 Livingston County budget, Department of Health, Planning, and Sheriff.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester. Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris.
Aye.
North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde. Ashen. Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta. York. Ayes 4749, absent 305, adopted. Establishing an account, planning.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Is there any questions or discussion on establishing this account? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester. Lima.
Aye.
Livonia.
Aye.
Mount Morris.
Aye.
North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde. Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta. York. Ayes 4749, absent 305, adopted. Resolution authorizing Livingston County to investigate, engage counsel, and commence litigation to enjoin implementation enforcement of the 2023 modification to Section 502 of the New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering, and Breeding Law.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Are there any questions or discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester. Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris.
Aye.
North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde. Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta. York.
Aye.
Ayes 4749, absent 305, adopted.
I also did have one appointment this afternoon.
For the Livingston County Youth Board, Laura Lynn Doe. She's representing the town of Sparta, and it's at the pleasure.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to welcome everyone to our 26th annual employee recognition. It's a real important event, recognition that we hold each year for our 10 and 25-year employees of the county. And, we as the Board of Supervisors, we do a lot of policies and legislating and different things, but really the employees are the real, they're the face of the county. They're the ones out there providing the service. They're interacting every day with our constituency, doing all good things, and kind of the face of us supervisors, so to speak, and really appreciate all that you do. And it's so great to be part of, and speaking for myself, to be part of a team of everyone here at the county who all pitches in and makes Livingston County, makes the Board of Supervisors look really exceptional. And thank you for all of that. And Ian, if you would please, some opening remarks.
Thank you, Chairman. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to our 26th annual employee recognition ceremony. I have now participated in more than half of these ceremonies, and I can honestly say that each one is individually meaningful to both me and to the Board of Supervisors. Before I begin, a big team for putting sort of the Michelle Reese, clerk of the board, and Jason Parker and the ITS team for assuring everything is set up and working properly, and also Party Man Catering for their efforts today. So if I could just give them a round of applause. And as any good county official would do, I also specifically reference those people for if anything does go wrong or you don't like anything, you have anything to complain about, you now know who to go to. Today's probably our biggest audience in 20 plus years, and the people being recognized today represent cumulatively, drum roll, 510 years of service to Livingston County government. So each year, I ask the county historian to do a couple of tidbits, so people that have heard me say this speech before know some of the stuff that's coming. But we kind of time travel for those that have started 10 years ago or 25 years ago and kind of put ourselves back in that situation just briefly. So 11 people being recognized today started to work for the county in right around 2012. So that year on the national front, Hurricane Sandy was wreaking havoc along the East Coast. They had a Mayan calendar ending in December of that year, so there was a faction of people in the world that thought the world was going to end on December 21st, 2012. The new words of the year were hashtag, earworm, and bucket list. And locally, the county launched the Thank a Vet program for discounts with local merchants. There was controversial decisions going on at the town level for something called hydrofracking, if we can remember those discussions. And gas was about to hit $3.75 per gallon, which at the time was the highest it had ever been. 16 people here started to work for the county around 1997. That year on the global and national front, Princess Diana and Mother Teresa tragically passed away. A company called Netflix was founded as a DVD rental service through the mail, and you would have to return the DVDs through the mail. Google.com was registered as a domain name for the very first time. There was talk of a looming millennium bug in Y2K in the next couple of years. That didn't really come to fruition. The words of the year were emoji and something called friggin', which is not frickin', but it's friggin', which we had to look up earlier in the office. So I'll leave that discussion for a later day. Locally, the ITS department is still called at that time data processing. Emergency medical services, which is now one of our most robust departments, was still a small little subunit under Department of Health. There was additional controversy at the local level on the smoking ban for restaurants and bars. And gas was, I'm sorry to report, $1.32 per gallon. So, fast forward to 2023. We're in a new era where work is taking on new meanings and new labels. We have the Great Reset. We have the Great Resignation. We have the Great Reevaluation. Tenure seems to be shorter. People are more apt to have more jobs, more employers in their lifetime. Unemployment's very, very low. So it is perhaps extra significant that today we are expressing our sincere appreciation for service, particularly for length of service, for the value of dedication to an employer, for commitment, for a career and a calling, and those that treat their vocation as more than just a job, as Lynn eloquently stated earlier, but a chance to serve their community and be motivated by public service. There's a lot written these days about something called AI, or artificial intelligence. My guess is that in the 10-year and 25-year anniversary recognition ceremony in 10 years and 25 years from now, that under historical highlights, I bet there's a little bit of a talk about artificial intelligence. So I typed into ChatGPT, which is an AI format, write a speech for the Livingston County, New York employee recognition ceremony. Mm-hmm. And in less than 10 seconds, it wrote a speech for today. When I told someone in the office this, my former friend Sean said, well, I guess you're obsolete. So all kidding aside, two things to sort of consider from that anecdote. One is that I did not use AI. This is personal and individual. Unless you didn't like it, then maybe I did. And number two is, well, we may end up having to use these type of things and these new technologies and these new features in our work life. Our work really in county government, if you think about it, is the opposite of artificial intelligence. The antonym for artificial is sincere. Another antonym is genuine. So I think of touch points and hand-holding, both in the figurative sense and in the literal sense. I think of physical therapy, arguing a case, defending a case, going physically to a home for social services, taking the pulse of a patient, personally instructing someone on how to do a resume for their first job, designing a highway project, operating a piece of equipment, providing physical protection and security, addressing public safety, answering a phone call with a live voice, serving a customer with a calm demeanor. The list goes on and on. That's sincere and genuine public service at its peak, and that goes on every day with the people sitting here today that are being recognized. Employee recognition means different things for different people. For me, it's a chance to convey a heartfelt thank you to those that have made a commitment to county government for either 10 years or 25 years or beyond. For the Board of Supervisors, it's an opportunity to reflect on what they call the doers of county government. As the chairman said earlier, the board sets policy, passes laws, resolutions, approvals, funds budgets, thinks about strategy moving forward. But the day-to-day activities of making county government work for the people, those activities take place outside of these walls for the most part. For the department heads, I'm sure today is also a time of gratitude and general happiness. The honorees are their coworkers and friends and what we call the work family, Team Livco. And finally, and most importantly, for those that are being recognized today, I am hoping this is a time to accept and receive the acknowledgement and appreciation that sometimes goes unsaid or maybe not said enough, but today is for sure being said proudly and loudly by myself and the people in this room at the Board of Supervisors that we are grateful. So on behalf of the board, thank you for all that you do now, all that you have done, and all that you will still do for the residents of Livingston County. You all deserve a very loud and proud round of applause.
I'd like to welcome everybody. This is really exciting for me every year to see all the names of people that I've seen over the years but might not have been able to put a face to. I'll be announcing each department, including those unable to attend today, every honoree. If you could please hold your applause until the end. When I call your name, I'd ask you to please walk up the left side of the room to the chairman, the county administrator, and the vice chairman. You'll receive your gift. We'll take a quick photo, and I'll have you come across and walk out this way. At this time, I'd like to call all the department heads, except those being recognized, up to my left to form a receiving line. Yeah, go to the end of the table then. Starting with the 10-year awards for department heads, the Department of Health, Jennifer Rodriguez. District Attorney, Gregory McCaffrey. Highway Department, Jason Wolfanger. Workforce Development and Youth Bureau, Ryan Snyder. And now for the 10-year awards. Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation, Laura Rudney. Billy Joe Shotwell. For the Department of Health, Sally Jacobs. For the Department of Social Services, Andrew Thompson. For the Highway Department, Zachary Cracknell. John Kraft III. For the Public Defender's Office, Kelly Donahue. And now for the 25-year awards. Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation, Anthony Jarzino. For the County Clerk, Michelle Post. For the Department of Health, Jill Burley. Peggy Hamilton. For the Department of Social Services, Kimberly Shafino. Michelle Weaver. Office for the Aging, Ann DeMart. For the Sheriff's Office, William Boyd. Jean Chichester. George Frazeres.
Yeah, I know.
Michael Hilliard. Lawrence Kennedy. Corey Noto. Daniel Rittenhouse. Michael Yenser. Workforce Development and Youth Bureau, Helen Terry. I'd like to turn it over to the Vice Chairman, Dan Pangrazio, now for some closing remarks.
Well, before I get started, I want to let you know that you witnessed something very important. That is, no, it's the failure of money. Now, I just want to echo some things that you said. Michelle, we do a heck of a job every year setting this up, starting that year. We have a great time. Personally, I want to just address each and every one of you. You really make a big contribution to the county. The Board of Supervisors truly appreciate what you do. And because of you, it makes it a great county to live in and bring up kids. So with that, I have certain things I have to say. Will be served after we adjourn. Pictures will be up front, and you can leave your awards at your chairs or whatever, and then when you're done, your pictures taken. So thank you, friends and family, for coming as well. All right, thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.